Welcome once again to a new video. Today we will learn about the Panama localization. Panama localization is the complement of Dynamics 365 Business Centers. Dynamics 365 Business Central to comply with specific laws and regulations required by the Panamanian Tax Authority that are not covered by the standard functionality. We have developed different functions and tables within Business Central that allow us to meet these requirements. We have functions such as ITBM withholdings. We have developed fiscal reports such as the journal, general ledger, space guides for transfer, inventory or balance sheet books, and we have also developed what would be the electronic documentation, electronic invoices, credit notes, and so on. Now let's go to Business Center and let's look at the process and sales process, and we go through some of the configurations necessary to take advantage of the benefits of our location. We go to Business Central, and the first thing we are going to review is how we have characterized and identified our third parties, whether they are suppliers, customers, or our own third parties. To do this, we go to the purchasing module and enter suppliers. Here we have developed different fields that will allow us to identify our suppliers. Here, for example, we have the type of identification when it comes to what would be a national identification document, a driver's license, residence permit, passport, single taxpayer registration, and tax identification number. These types of documents are valid in Panama. We also have identified the type of tax regime. If the supplier belongs to a definitive customs regime, to any customs regime or any special regime, we can in this way identify our supplier. Also the type of taxpayer, whether you are an individual, a legal entity, a MSME, or a person not required to file income tax returns. Also, as a suggestion, we indicate in the supplier's file the ITBM withholding that this provider will normally transact. That is to say, when I am executing purchase documents and I call that supplier, the system will suggest me ITBM withholding that I identify in this section. For example, here I place the withholding of 100 or the withholding of 50. I am going to expand the file, and from this section we create all the withholdings we want. In this example I have 2, but we can create as many withholdings as we want. Clearly identifying the type of tax ITBM withholding, we indicate to accept all these options. Also, we are going to find them in what would be our master of clients. Therefore, we go to the module of sales module, we go to customers, and we are going to enter a particular customer. Then from this section we will also find the identification fields, the identification number, and fields such as the type of regime, the type of taxpayer, and the type of deed, and so on. Okay, we will also be able to identify those third parties that do not belong to suppliers but do not belong to customers either. They are third parties, for example, who are dedicated to the management of petty cash, some expense that we want to, and we do not want to use the purchase and sale module, or the purchase and sale module is not required, or we do not require the purchase and sale module. We can use what would be our third party page and create the third parties that we want. Okay, now let's run a transactional flow, a purchase. Let's see the behavior at the computational level of the retention key. After that, we are going to generate local reports and reports. We go to the purchase module and enter purchase invoice. We are going to create a new purchase invoice, and we see the behavior of what would be the ITBM retention. We are going to select our supplier. we are going to place an invoice number. Let's say this is going to be an invoice number 3. Let's select the product. Let's say the product pair is the quantities 1000 units each. On the right side, we will find the ITBM retention. Here I'm going to select it because I didn't put it on the suppliers tab for it to happen to me, so I'm going to select it. Now we are going to indicate it in invoice, in statistics, and here we are going to see the behavior at the accounting and calculation that the system makes. It takes the base, it gives me the percentage, and in this way we can see which would be the calculation of the ITBM withholding. We are going to indicate now to register, and we are going to indicate preview, and we are going to be able to visualize in the VAT movements the ITBM withholding, the calculation in percentage, 100% in this case, with what would be the base and the amount. Okay, now we visualize the accounting movements, and here we can see the withholding that travels to a particular account. This account, we configure it, we identify it, the configuration, and this amount of ITBM withholdings travels to that account, detailed by what would be the third party. Here it relates me the third party, this with the purpose that when I generate the amount, the general balance, it can show me a summary differentiated by third parties in each of the cases. Okay? Apart from ITBM withholding, if we have it in the document, we are going to record it here. We indicate yes, and we indicate no, I do not want to see the summary. Apart from the issuance of a purchase invoice with withholdings, we will also be able to generate what would be the liquidation of purchases. Then we are going to enter, for example, this purchase invoice that we have here. We are going to have the same fields of a purchase invoice, but we are going to activate what would be the check that says purchase liquidation. Okay, we are going to activate it, and this field identifies us that this invoice is already a purchase liquidation when the transaction is done. With a supplier who is not obliged to keep accounting records, then here we will have the fields for withholdings and so on. And so on. We are going to indicate register, and in this way we register the purchase settlement. It tells me that it moved to the purchase invoice history. I go to my purchase invoice history, and inside this history we are going to find what would be a column that says purchase settlement and identifies which are the settlements and which are the invoices, which are the liquidations and which are the invoices. We also have within the purchase module these fields for debit notes, credit notes. Debit notes is a development that we made. While it is true that Business Central does not come with debit memos as standard, we have created debit notes document where we can make adjustments to the invoice. Adjustments to the invoice, we can relate a related invoice, and we can also establish what would be withholdings. Here, for example, we are going to register and give it a preview, and it is going to generate what would be the VAT movements where we have identified the ITBM withholding, in this case 50%, and also the accounting movements. Okay, now we will tell you register, and in this way we register a debit note. It says that it was moved to the historical. I tell you what not to do. Now we are going to make a sale and see all the options that we have in the module of sales with the location. We are going to enter to a sale, and we are going to enter a sales order. Sale. We indicate a new order and fill in the necessary required data, such as what is the customer, for example the 7,000, 10,000, and we have this option referral guide. This option will allow me to generate a way bill from this sales order that I am going to make. if I want to create a bill of lading, and also if I identify that this waybill will have an internal document. So here I can create the internal document, and I'm going to create the waybill. And we go to the line level to select the product. Let's say this product, I will select the quantity. Let's say we are going to sell 10. And here we have the fields also, ITBM withholding tax. If we want to invoice this order, in this case I'm going to fill it, but I'm going to generate only the shipment. Done. We are going to indicate register, and we are going to indicate send. Once I make the shipment of the emergency of these units, automatically in our Panama menu, historical referral guides, it will create what would be the referral guide with the name, Adatum, identifying the type of document requested, the document number in Business Central, the waybill number, the user who registered it, and information of the carrier with its license plate and address. In addition, we will find what would be the access code and the information fields for the electronic stamping of this waybill. Not only will we be able to generate waybills from sales orders, but also waybills for transfer orders. For transfer orders, that is to say these transfers that we make between the different cabinets. We are going to enter transfer orders. I am going to enter a new transfer order. I am going to indicate here this one that we have open. Here we can activate what would be a remittance guide, and we indicate that we are going to send this product, will be shipped. Okay, and we made the shipment. We return back to the Panama menu, and here we have what would be our waybill and the document type transfer order. Now we are simply going to register the invoice that was left, that we only made the shipment. We are going to register it to create a sales invoice. We are going to invoice, click on accept, and that's it. We will have the fields of retentions. Also, we are going to be able to find them in the module of sales, as much for orders as for invoices, debit notes, credit notes, and others, and so on. For example, we are going to enter this invoice we have around here, and here we can visualize the withholding of ITBM, which will handle the calculation in the same way in purchasing, but with the effect of the positive amount. Here we have 50% of ITBM, and we have the accounting movements also with the respective account where this amount will travel with the respective third party. We go out and we are going to register this invoice of sales invoice. Let's say that we do not. Finally, we have what would be reports, official books such as the general ledger, like the general ledger. We can also visualize it. We enter, we have filters, date range, a particular account, totals filters, departments, company filters, date filters, and so on. We have the preview, and we can visualize what would be the general ledger. The general ledger, we can also visualize the journal. We can enter the journal with what would be the date of the period date filter, enter in preview, and we can visualize what would be the journal. In this way, here we have all the information detailed in the journal. We also have what would be the retentions or the consolidated withholdings per sale and per purchase. The reports will allow us to have controlled the withholdings, because of ITBM that are applied both for the 100% in this case and for the as well as for 50% with all the information such as an invoice number, withholding amounts, and also when it is a debit or credit note, and also when it is a debit note or a credit note as well. What would be the withholding? I invite you to subscribe to our channel, like the video, and stay tuned for more information about our daily video releases that we daily take out in relation to our locations, our products, our webinars, and more.